It's been a while since I've posted on this channel, multiple years at this point. If you go look at my old videos, it's probably football talk, fantasy football. But we're talking about the Celtics, and I want to make this video for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm hoping in a couple years, 2026, 2027, I could be looking back on this and smiling because the Celtics have won a championship and Jason Tatum's a top five player again, and Brad Stevens traded for Giannis, whatever it might be. All is right in Celtics world. But as we stand today, a little after midnight, May 13th, the Celtics go down 3-1 in the second round of the semifinals. And that would be the big story, right? That would be the big story if it wasn't for Jason Tatum's injury. We don't have confirmation, but everyone's seen the injury. And if there's one injury that a regular guy like myself or anyone out there watching would know is a torn Achilles, because we've seen guys like Aaron Rodgers, Jets, we've seen Kevin Durant, we've seen countless guys suffer this injury, and it's a very specific looking injury that happens, and it's very obvious when it happens because it happens to the calf and there's a pop and players immediately grab their leg and there's usually a lot of pain, and we just know what it is. And barring a miracle, Jason Tatum is unfortunately going to suffer that same fate of a torn Achilles. And it's May 13th right now, so it's very likely that Jason Tatum misses all of the 2025-2026 season. My first thought is it's just unfair. It's just unfair because, well, number one, I don't think it's fair for anyone to tear their AC, or excuse me, to tear their Achilles. So obviously, but for Tatum specifically, a guy who probably faces the most scrutiny amongst any player in the NBA, amongst any player I have seen since LeBron James, for better or for worse, whether you think he deserves it or not. I have a hard time finding another guy that gets as much scrutiny as Jason Tatum does for what he experienced in the offseason, getting benched by Team USA. Again, regardless if that was the right decision or not, they won the gold. So shout out to Steve Kerr. Maybe he made the right decision. And throughout this season, just Jason Tatum getting labeled a super team merchant. He's the number two on this team. If the team wasn't so good, he wouldn't be anything. He has no moments. All of the lies, realistically, that get spread about Jason Tatum. And he goes into the first round against the Magic, and game one wasn't great, gets injured, misses game two. Three straight 30 balls against the number two rated defense in basketball. And it's the first round, so nobody's really paying attention, especially if you're Jason Tatum, because the first round, I guess, just doesn't count for him. No one says anything. Three straight 30 balls, dominates on offense, excellent on defense. If it was literally any other player, there would be consistent praise amongst how we're talking about this guy in top three talks. Why is he getting MVP votes? But it's Jason Tatum. So it gets swept under the rug. And the first two games of this Knicks series, he was bad. He was really bad. He was a big reason why the Celtics started the series down 0-2. And although he never gets any praise, he always gets criticism, right? Again, this is a guy that people were saying shouldn't even be in top 10 talks. That if you put X player on the Celtics, they would have three championships by now. And it's just not the truth. What Jason Tatum did tonight, and what's likely his last game in at least a year, was nothing short of a masterclass. I think if he would have capped this game off with a win, we're looking at probably his second or third best game ever in the playoffs. It would have been probably the best performance of any player in these playoffs. And it was both sides of the ball. He started this game making awesome defensive plays, getting out in transition. He's played great defense against Cat in the series, against Brunson, OG, McHale. In my opinion, this was probably the second best defensive performance, if not the best defensive performance in Jason Tatum's career. The only one that comes close to me that really stands out is that 2022 series, first round against the Brooklyn Nets against, KD, where he was just had KD and hell in that series. But that's what this series felt like, that Tatum on defense was at a different level of locked in, that guys couldn't get past him. He was moving his feet, rebounding his ass off, banging down low with Cat. But the offense was really lagging behind until this game. where he goes off for 40 plus points. If he would have stayed healthy, could he, stat pad to 50? That would have been cool, but goes off for 40, is the only guy outside of him and Derek White to show up on offense. Thought it was a really bad Jaylen Brown game. Porzingis is a whole nother discussion that we could get into, but Jason Tatum doesn't deserve it. Again, no player deserves to tear their Achilles, but Jason Tatum doesn't deserve it. 27 years old, just entering his prime, coming off, in my opinion, his best regular season. Although maybe the numbers don't say because he's averaged 30 before and maybe he's had better efficiency, but from just understanding and orchestrating the Celtics offense, and probably watched 90% of Celtics games this year. It was the best I've ever seen. The leap he has taken as a playmaker over the last couple of years put him in the second best playmaking wing in the NBA behind LeBron James. He could legitimately run an offense. And although Jaylen Brown won Finals MVP last year, deservedly so, awesome on defense, had some big clutch shots on offense. Don't get it twisted. This offense runs through Jason Tatum. And all of the open looks they get, I shouldn't say all of them, but a lot of the open looks they get are because of him and the gravity that he has. If you look at the on-off numbers so far in these playoffs, Jason Tatum is number one. He is like a plus 18 or something like that on the court, and the Celtics are like a -6 with him off the court. So for all of the super team talks and how loaded this roster was, it didn't show up in these playoffs. Again, Tatum was part of that issue against the Knicks in the second round, but he wasn't the only issue. Going into game three, only Drew Holiday was shooting higher than 40% from the field in this series. So Jason Tatum wasn't good, but the team wasn't good. Um, but it's just devastating for Tatum to be 27 years old and to deal with this injury. My only silver lining, and I don't even know how silver it really is Kevin Durant, who tore his Achilles in 2019. So 6 years ago, we have better medicine, better practices and surgery. He was 30 years old and he was able to come back. And I mean, hell, Kevin Durant at times still looks like a top five player, top 10 at absolute minimum. But of course, he's probably the best jump shooter we've ever seen, right? Like him, Michael Jordan, like he is maybe the best, most efficient shooter we've ever seen. And Tatum is not that. As much as I love him and think that he's a great player, his jump shooting, specifically in the playoffs recently, has definitely fallen off. And although he's not the most athletic player in the world, that athleticism is important to him because he is so big and strong. And the fact that he can get by you in one step, especially when switching on to bigs that we saw throughout this season, is such a valuable asset to him. And I don't want to make any, overarching claims. He's done. He'll never be a top five player again. But I also can't sit here and be like, he's going to be back in 2 years and be the same player. It's unfortunately the reality we live in right now, where just about any other injury you feel fine about. Like, even if, God forbid, right, he would have tore his ACL, it's like, damn, that's awful. But at least you know that so many people tear their ACL and come back across multiple sports and are as good, if not better. But the Achilles is not the same. The Achilles is not career ending, but it could be career altering. And it's been career altering for just about everybody, unless your name is Kevin Durant. And this isn't a video where I'll be talking much about the New York Knicks. This is just more so about Tatum and the Celtics, and for everyone who loves the Celtics like me, and how they're feeling right now. Because last season we experienced one of the highest highs we'll ever feel. Celtics won the championship in 2024 after years and years and years of knocking on the door, after the 2022 finals loss where you're up 2-1 and you're leading in game 4 and Tatum is so bad in those finals. And then in 2023, it just feels like it's fine. 2022 happened. We'll be better. Ime leaves. You bring in Missoula, get Malcolm Brogdon. We'll be fine. You go down 0-3 to the Miami Heat. It's like, damn, the season's over. You make this insane comeback. It's 3-3. Tatum rolls his ankle in game 7. You lose that series. And this isn't even talking about all of the other ECF losses they've had up into this, dating back to Jason Tatum's rookie year, game 7 against LeBron James. I mean, we have seen as Celtics fans, this team go step for step, doing everything the right way. They we're a young team that drafted well, developed well, hired the right coaches. Brad Stevens moves to GM. He's been awesome. They've made the right trades. Drew Holiday, Porzingis. They've done basically everything the NBA wants you to do when it comes to building a team and how to win a championship, right? Like they, as much as the NBA maybe doesn't say it outright, I don't think they want a lot of KD Warrior situations. I don't think they want a lot of Heedle situations. I think they enjoy parity, and that's what we've been seeing right now. But to get back to my point, we experienced such a high last year of the Celtics winning the championship. I was at the parade. Few of you guys I saw at the parade said what's up to me. I appreciate that. But that high that we had, they can never take it away. And that's the one thing I'm definitely gonna lay my hat on is at least they got one. Because I think of the former big three of the Celtics when they won a championship, and then the next year, Kevin Garnett goes down. They were never able to repeat. And even though we always think windows are super long, right? Like I think of the Bucks in 2021, and it's like, oh, I mean, Giannis is going to get at least one more, maybe two more. He's Giannis. He just had 50 in a game six, and things have not gone well for the Bucks. And Giannis has not won a lot of playoff games since then. And you look at a team like the Denver Nuggets, who maybe this isn't the best example because they are fighting right now, but they won the championship in 2023, and it's like Jokic is the best player in the world. They're just going to do this year after year after year. And last year they lost in round two, and we'll see what happens this season. They're tied 2-2 right now with the Oklahoma City Thunder, but windows are never as open as you think they are, right? You think they're wide open, but really it's just a crack. And maybe the Celtics just win one. And maybe Tatum just gets one, and Brown gets one, and Missoula gets one, and that's all it is. And on one hand, does that suck because you think you had a real chance to build, I don't want to say a dynasty because a dynasty is incredibly difficult to come by, but at least could we see it? You know what I mean? At least could we see the opportunity to do it? And with that being said, the Knicks were going to go up 3-1 in the series regardless of the Tatum injury. So it probably wasn't going to happen this year, right? Unless maybe they make a 3-1 comeback. I could say they were going to make a 3-1 comeback because Tatum's out now. They were not going to win the series. But in reality, the season was probably over. But it's more so just next season because Tatum's going to be out. And this offseason, who knows? Jaylen Brown could be traded. Porzingis will probably be traded. Drew Holiday could be traded. Al Horford, is he going to come back for another year knowing that next season you're not a championship contender? There's a lot of questions around the Boston Celtics. There's a lot of decisions to be made this offseason. I'm very excited that, I shouldn't say excited, but I'm happy that Brad Stevens is the GM of this team, and he is one of the best basketball minds that we have, and he was able to put this roster together. So I have all the faith in the world that he'll be able to either retool this team for 26, 27, or maybe even strip down this team to maybe get some future assets, potentially not tank, but get a lottery pick next year. I don't know realistically if the Celtics could be that bad because the East is terrible. Like if you win 35 games, you're going to be in the play-in. So I don't think they have that luxury, if that's even a luxury, but it's sad, man. It's sad. Saw my favorite player in the world, my favorite maybe athlete ever go down with a torn Achilles after one of his best games that we've ever seen him play. One of the best games we've seen any superstar play in these playoffs. And it just feels like we got robbed. It just feels like we got robbed. So I'll say this. Whatever team wins a championship this year, it's not going to be the Celtics, whether it's the Knicks, the Wolves, the Thunder, whoever it is, people are going to try to take it away. People are going to try to say your run was fluky, you got lucky, you ran into injuries, whatever the case might be. I just hope you never listen to them because I never listened to a single person that told me the Celtics run was easy. It was just injuries, blah, blah, blah. Tatum sucks, blah, blah, blah. I never gave those people a second of attention. I've heard it and saw it and laughed at it because winning a championship is incredibly, incredibly difficult. And we've seen that for years now between Giannis, Jokic, the Celtics last year, all-time great players, all-time great teams. Sometimes they really only get one championship. Sometimes they really only get one opportunity because to win that championship, you need luck to be on your side. You need to be the one that's staying healthy. And also, you need some injury luck on the other side, right? Like the Celtics weren't the only team to ever have a lucky run, right? Like the Bucks were lucky, the Nets weren't at 100%, right? You could look at the Nuggets run. They did not face three teams that were at 100% health. So, whatever team ends up winning the championship, don't let anyone take it away from you and love it and enjoy it. And if you can, go to the parade because the parade was one of the best days of my life last year, just being around a million Celtics fans and seeing Tatum and KP and Missoula all on the duck boats celebrating a championship that Boston has been waiting for such a long time for. That fans were eager to get. They were eager to see the Jays win one after years and years and years of coming so close. And we'll see where this leaves Boston because for the first time in I don't know how many years, a long time. We're going into the offseason knowing there's going to be some massive changes, right? Even the couple off seasons ago when we traded Marcus Smart, we bring in Porzingis and Drew, we weren't really expecting that. Like maybe there'd be moves, but I don't think people were really expecting Boston to make that drastic of a move. This offseason, though, it's different. I think everyone is expecting Boston to make some pretty drastic moves. So with that being said, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Payne Pritchard, of course, Tatum, Missoula. Thank you guys, man. Thank you guys. This has been such an awesome team to root for over these last couple of years. Jaylen Brown, I hope it's not your last year as a Boston Celtic. I don't know what Brad's going to do, obviously. If it is your last year as a Boston Celtic, I love you. And one day, I hope seven is in the rafters because God damn, do you deserve it. Um, but it just really puts into perspective how special of a team you have to win, how special of a year you have to win, and just the type of players and coaches you need to win that championship because I felt like Boston was a shoo-in for at least the ECF, if not a finals appearance, and they were the favorites to go back to back. And going down 3-1 to the Knicks is one thing. I could take all of the shit from Joel, and obviously I live in Jersey, so all of my friends, or a good amount of my friends, are Knicks fans, and I could take the text and the tweets and the DMs sent to me about Tatum shitting his pants, whatever they want to do. I don't really care about that, but seeing Tatum be down the court, seeing the Achilles tear, knowing how long of a road is ahead, and knowing that, I mean, not to sound ungrateful, but for the first time in like 5+ years, knowing I'm not going to have a legitimate chance to win a championship next year really stings. So I'll just close saying, Tatum, you're probably not watching this, but if you are, my brother in Christ, I love you. Speedy recovery. And I really just hope to God that this isn't I hope that when you come back, we get the version that we just had, a guy that was entering his physical prime, that really felt like he is starting to master what it is to break down defenses. And then on the other side, being one of the best defenders in the world, in my opinion. So I hope you get back to that. Big off season ahead. Appreciate you watching. Talk to you later.